Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone. Welcome to this slow productivity workshop. I'm Laia. Hi to those of you who are here live. Also, hi to those of you that will be watching the replay later. Today, I thought it would be a good time to pause and also talk about slow productivity. And a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about come from conversations that we've had and methods that I have been sharing with you throughout these productivity sessions that we do weekly. So we're going to be talking about morning pages, about energy mapping. We're going to be talking about Pomodoro sprints, the Eisenhower method, the done list, and then finally we'll talk about rest and play. Lots of fun things to talk about, but I would really like for you, if you're able to, if you're feeling it, to interact in the chat as much as you can. Even if you're watching this after the fact, if you're watching a replay. I have my lovely notebook. I have, hopefully, lots of fountain pens because I write with fountain pens. And I also have some water. And my little fan is on because it is hot, my friends. But yeah, so just make sure that you have some stuff to take notes. I hope that if you've never been to one of my productivity sessions, by the end of this, you feel inspired to perhaps try one because it is one of the main methods that I use for being able to create. Let me tell you a little bit about me before we get started, before we arrive, before we get settled. Also, if you haven't drank any water yet today, this is your reminder. So if you don't know me, I'm Laia, and I'm a professional figure skater, a writer, an artist, multidisciplinary artist. I like to delve into different creative things. And I also live with a chronic illness that really let me know that I wasn't really living in a way that was aligned with how I needed to live. And it's, to this day, it's a very helpful tool. It is what it is. So I went from being a person that was very active, traveling the world, doing all these things, to being really, really sick and not being able to do much of anything. And it got to a point where I just had to make a decision of like, okay, this is kind of what it's going to be. And there are things that I want to get done. How am I going to get them done? Through pain, discomfort, exhaustion, whatever. And even when I feel good, right? Because then it's like, how do you move through the ups and downs? And I realized that that's not unique to chronic illness, right? That's just kind of in different ways what happens to all of us, that there's ups and downs energetically, physically, mentally. And I think that the way that productivity is seen or portrayed a lot of times, it's just an illusion, just like perfection, right? And so I had to find a way to dive into my creativity, dive into what I wanted to do with my life while not burning myself out or avoiding burnout as much as possible, because it will happen occasionally, but I think that there are ways to have less of that. Yeah, productivity and productivity tools and creativity, it's so unique to each one of us and what it means to us. So just like anything, just like, I'm a yoga teacher, so for me, what works for me like as a yoga practice may not work for somebody else. And so it's the same with productivity tools, right? So like, and the way I do it, if you tweak it a little bit, it may work for you. I would love to know what brought you to this space today, what it is that you're hoping to leave with today, like one thing that you are wanting to explore, learn, or perhaps share in this space. Just be ready to spend some time in a relaxed space talking about slow, creative living and productivity. So we were so excited about it when we talked about it on the Cozy Productivity because the slowness and balance is so necessary for me. I agree, Isa. Like, I can absolutely function at full speed. I've done it before and it doesn't work for me at all. And I just don't enjoy it. And I think that once I got past the guilt, I guess, guilt of like not being a productive member of society per se, it all became a little bit easier and more fun. So yeah, exactly. Full speed, but for how long and at what cost? Exactly. That's exactly right. I think that the important thing, I find myself talking about the same things again and again in like my articles and my newsletters. And it's because like we're cyclical people, I think that in the same way that sometimes you may create a productivity method that works really well for a season, then seasons change. And I'm not just talking about, summer, winter, whatever. I'm talking about like internal seasons change, and then all of a sudden that productivity method that got you through X, Y, or Z is no longer doing what it needs to be doing. And then you're like, oh, and you find yourself out of sorts, and it's like back to square one. And so I think that's why it's so important to have different methods, to have so many little tools that it is almost impossible that there's not just one thing that's going to work. And also knowing that there are seasons where we will be less productive, and that's okay. That there are seasons where it is necessary for us to be more scattered, so that at the point that when we need to come back to ourselves and be ready to create, we have had enough space to like breathe, if you know what I mean. Reinforcing my daily tools for working in a public education context where many adults are themselves unregulated and unaware. Yo, Katie, sending you all the love. Yes, because that's what, I find that's really interesting. I sometimes listen to people talk about education and how our children are glued to screens and our children are unregulated and blah, blah. And I'm like, but yeah, let's look at the people around them who are the examples, and they're in the same exact situation. So unless we start to do that ourselves, unless we start to create better environments for ourselves, we can't create better environments for others. Journalist for 22 years, Kat. Always on the go, then a grant writer at triple speed, and then boom, concussion city. Oh no. I would love to learn to accept a goal a day instead of a list of mile long. You are so in tune with yourself, my heroine. Well, Kat, I hope that you know that I am not so in tune with myself. I'm in tune with myself sometimes, at times when I can. And then the rest of the time, I'm a hot mess. So please keep that in mind. Like, yeah. Because this is why I have to have all these systems. Because I got to grab something. Because otherwise, I'm lost. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about burnout and a little bit about productivity myths, if you will. I feel like burnout is seen as like failure, as a weakness, as, like I'm doing it wrong. And I think burnout is a signal. It's something that's telling you, hello, this is not the way. This is not the way to do it. This is not working for us now. Get a switch. And I think burnout shows up differently for different people. I think for some people, burnout shows up as stress. And of course, stress can mean a million things. For some people, it can show up as anger, as addiction, as a plethora of things, as illness, of course, right? Physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. Exactly. That's exactly what it is, right? And it can show up in so many ways. And I don't know about you, but personally, I don't think I was aware of how burnt out and stressed I was until my body stopped me. And I didn't have any tools. I didn't have any resources. I grew up going to school, did my work, kind of bare minimum. If I was good at it, yeah, I'd put 100%. If it was something I wasn't interested in, I put bare minimum. I got through things. I kind of moved through college, didn't finish because I don't know, because now I realize I didn't have any systems for it to matter enough to me, right? And then I just jumped into work, and being a professional athlete, like I had this deep discipline, of like, I just have to see things through no matter how I feel. Like when you figure skate competitively and for shows, how you feel is absolutely irrelevant. It's about the judges, it's about the audience, right? Especially when you're getting paid to skate, you better smile and look pretty no matter how you feel, right? And so I continued to apply that mentality to everything that I did until I burned myself out to the point of chronic illness, right? And so I really had to stop and pause and ask myself, how did I get there? And what were kind of the signs that were telling me, right, to slow down? Because, I get this question all the time, like, how did you, like, did the chronic illness just kind of pop in? Like, did it? And it's like, if I think about it, it's something that was probably happening since I was a teenager, right? And so it just got to a point where it's like your body's like, all right, we're done. And so Yeah, your body slams on the brakes. Exactly. That's exactly right. And I think for me now that I really examine and study myself, and my patterns and stuff, I start to notice that I drop the things that really support me. They start to be less important, right? Because I'm too busy. If I'm too busy to do the things that sustain me, I'm just too busy. Something's got to change. Back in the day, I'd just be like, oh, you know what? Like, if I don't have time for yoga, I don't have time for yoga, or whatever it is, right? If I don't have time to see my friends, I don't have time to see my friends. If I don't have time to go on dates, I don't have time to go on dates. I gotta keep going. And in reality, like the time with your friends or the time doing X, Y, or Z activity, right? That is what sustains you and helps you continue through things that may not be as enjoyable or, as fun. What I think is that productivity and being productive is an absolute myth. What productivity is, at least, is an absolute myth. So I'd like for you to share what are some things about productivity that you believed and now you're like, bullshit. Just bullshit. I call bullshit. I won't partake in that anymore. So feel free to share in the chat if you would like. Again, if you're watching the replay, make sure that you share in the comments. Susan, I'm in career transition. I definitely burned myself out trying my best and was still laid off after 12 years of service. I want to approach my next role differently. Absolutely. I'm so sorry that happened, Susan. That's the thing that I also realized, is that if I worked for others, this was always the case, because I was absolutely replaceable. Every part of me was replaceable, and I was working myself to the ground day after day after day after day, giving my best, truly, to people that did not care if I gave my best. They just needed, I don't know, right? Like a body. And once they're done, once you're not enough, once they can pay someone less, they just hire someone else. So, it's like something's got to shift. And, and it's easy for me to say, oh, just don't work for anybody, because that's what I did. But I also understand that some of us have to work for some. But I think then it's about, like, how do you structure the life that you have around that job, right? In a way that supports the part that you have to do that maybe is not as fun. And that maybe you have to do what you have to do for others, right? Like, how do you take care of the time that's yours? No longer believing what I produce is a reflection of my worth. That's right, Shakira. Multitasking is good. Yeah, that is absolutely a myth. Multitasking is probably one of the worst, at least for me. It makes absolutely no sense. My brain wants one thing. That's it. And just for a little while. Don't give me too long. But then we'll be talking about, attention span as well, which we can. But we would go into attention span. We would go into what social media and, all these things are doing to us as well. Isabel, you believe that basically you can compare with anyone else. We're all unique individuals with all rhythms, seasons, and paths. And that's the thing. Like, why would you compete or compare yourself with anyone when truly, even if you're working in a place, right, like working a regular corporate job or whatever, I would like to believe that if you hired me and you hired this person and that person, you hired us all because you saw that together we create this puzzle and we create something good together, right? Like, I'm not competing against anyone. And even if the culture is competition, personally, I don't want to partake. But then it goes back into, not everybody has a choice of where they work and who they work with, right? But yeah, at least being aware of that.